Happy Saturday, folks, and welcome to Dubs Talk Live. Zena, Keita here, joined by Monte, Poole. And we got a lot of game to break down, folks. The Warriors had another heartbreaking crunch time loss, this time on the road against the Los Angeles Clippers, 113 to 112. They had a 22-point lead at one point in the game and dissolved it away, gave the lead with 8.9 seconds left in the fourth. First lead all night for the Clippers, or all afternoon for the Clippers, and they closed it.
Yeah, and there would be a lot of talk about Paul George hitting a huge shot, gigantic shot by Paul.
Yes.
And the Warriors, Draymond got an open, pretty good looking at three-pointer from the corner, and he's been knocking down threes. Didn't go down for him, but this game really started falling apart in the third quarter.
Yeah.
When the Warriors gave up 37 points to the Clippers, and the Warriors only responded with 25. So when you get outscored by 12 and a quarter after you build a nice first half, you can kind of see, okay, if we don't get this thing together, this game is going to get away from us, and that's what happened in the end. So the Clippers, once the Clippers stayed with them, got closer and closer and closer, the momentum started going toward them.
Yeah.
And, when Steph, who was so good in the first half, so efficient, 6 of 8 shooting, second half, 1 of 10. And so when Steph can't make shots, the whole offense becomes it's not a panic, but it's kind of like, okay, what do we do now? And how do we get the offense going? So to score 45 points in the second half against the Clippers in a game like this, not enough.
Especially when the Clippers are scoring 65.
Yes, big difference.
Very big difference. So let's talk a little bit about that crunch time. Let's go to the end of the game and break that down, because it isn't the first time that the Warriors have found themselves in this position, not only this season, but in general. But the last 2 minutes of play, I want you to kind of walk me through what allowed the Clippers to have that upper hand to close this out.
Well, first of all, the Clippers are a really talented team. Give them that credit, because they've got, a couple of guys on that team that have been MVPs. Harden got going in the third quarter. Paul got going in the fourth quarter. So this is a team that if they're close, their talent is enough to overwhelm you. And they have a top-heavy roster, I would say, with 4 guys in Paul and James, Russell, and Kawhi. Any one of those 4 guys can beat you. And so for the Warriors, if they can't maintain the kind of momentum they had in the first half, and they can't defend at the level that they did in the first half, they're gonna lose the game. In the first half, their defense was really good. And the Clippers shot 42% from the field.
Yeah.
Second half, it didn't happen. So again, when the momentum starts to swing away from you, it's hard to get it back, especially when you're on the road.
For sure. And you looked at those videos and you saw there were some key moments, right? Of course, Paul George hit that three. And even before that, though, Paul George had a clear path foul, properly assessed. And you thought that was going to give a little bit momentum back to the Warriors, because they had an earlier challenge that they got right in the game. They were able to challenge again. And so you think, okay, these are the types of things that are going to allow you to go, okay, let's close this out. We're on the right side right now. Our momentum is going well. And then not being able to hit big shots, but then the Clippers getting that shot back from Paul George, and then the Warriors not being able to close out in that 8.9.
Yeah, even you can go back. If the Warriors make one more shot, they win the game, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And they had open looks. I mean, not just Draymond's open look in the final seconds, but Klay had a good open look from the top of the key.
Sure.
Bounced in and out, and Steph couldn't hit anything. So if Klay misses an open look, Draymond misses an open look, and Steph can't make a shot. I mean, again, he missed 9 of the 10 shots he took in the second half. Moody was doing really well. I mean, Moses has been playing, he's been balling. But again, you need one of your stars to kind of give you something, to give you that boost. And if one of those guys makes just one more shot, we're talking about a different game.
The sequence was Kawhi made that layup to make it 110 Clippers, 112 Warriors. Then Steph missed the jumper, as you mentioned. Then Paul George goes and hits that big three. And then here's the star we're talking about, Draymond Green, not being able to hit that corner three. But I do want to talk about Draymond Green. Had a season high.
Yeah.
The boy was balling.
Yeah.
Grown man. He's a grown man. But he was going tonight. And what you really saw, I love that you tweeted this out, he was our BMW Ultimate Performer today. And he was playing fully focused on basketball.
Yeah.
Even early in the game, you saw him get a foul call that he didn't believe he should have gotten. And he trotted back and said, oh, all good. Put his mouth guard back in his mouth and kept playing. And you saw the impact that it had on the game, being able to focus on directing traffic, both offensively and defensively.
Yeah, when Draymond Green allows his game to speak for itself, he's a really good basketball player.
We saw him those
But,
clips.
you know, we know that there have been so many times in the past, and it cost the Warriors, where he gets into these, you know, sideshows with the referees. He gets into these sidebars with other opponents, with the crowd sometimes, you know.
Right.
And if Draymond just stays on the game and plays basketball, this is what you can get. Steve Kerr did an interesting thing today. He decided to start Dario Saric at center as opposed to Kevon Looney. That spreads the floor.
It does.
And when you spread the floor a little bit more, everybody gets a little more space. And if you're the Clippers, you got to decide who you're going to guard, Dario or Draymond, because if Looney's out there, we don't worry about either one of those guys. But now Dario's out there, and so now Draymond might get a little more space because they're looking at Dario as more of a threat than Draymond.
Right.
So I think this is a game where you can say Steve made a move, and the move worked out when you look at the fact that Draymond got off to a really good start, was hitting those open threes, because if Dario starts, Draymond will see more open looks. And so it's just one of those things when Draymond got going early and he kept his head in the game.
Yeah.
And when he does that, like I said, he's a really good basketball player.
When you talk about a little bit more space, how many times did Draymond Green have that fake handoff,
fake handoff,
and then be able to dribble around the defense? I mean, I think at least 2 or 3 times tonight. And it's true. He had a little bit more space, a little bit more time to create. He's actually at the podium. Spoke earlier, Raheel, what else he had to say about the game tonight.
Absolutely. I think our pace is picking up a lot. We were playing really slow at first, but it's also tough to play fast and you're fouling every time, you know, because you're against a set defense every play. And so I think, you know, our pace is getting better, which, you know, you start to see guys free up a bit. You know, Clay's getting going. And I think that is in large part due to our pace. You know, it's tough when you're trying to get going and you're against a set defense every play. Like, that's tough. This is the NBA. You know, you got good defenders, great length, great schemes, great coaching staffs. When you can get out in transition and get some easy ones, then it changes everything. Then the rims look a little bigger. You know, your confidence grows and everything changes. And so I think, you know, getting our pace to where we need to get it to is starting to turn that corner. And then I've been out. Let's face it. You know, I missed, 7 games? 9 if you count the 2 ejections. I push our pace. You know, that's one of my roles. And so I can raise my hand and say that's all my fault, you know, that our pace isn't where it needs to be. But I'm also taking it upon myself to make sure we get it back there. And I think, you know, we're starting to get it back. And you know, a part of that is also guys getting used to running. You know, if you're not running and all of a sudden someone comes in and trying to push the pace, you're still not running, you know, so you got to get used to running. I think guys are starting to get accustomed to running, but I've been back 2 games, 3 games or something like that.
Like, you know what it feels like, but not everybody does, right? Because you have new guys here, too.
Exactly. It's a totally different thing, especially when you got the 4 or sometimes the 5 man just getting the ball and going. You got to figure out where you're going on the floor, because now you got 5 out, you know, possibly. Sometimes that may require a guy to slide to the dunker, you know, a guy who may not be accustomed to going to the dunker. And so, it's not just like bat out of hell, everybody run and you just figure it out. You still want to get the lanes, and so we're figuring all of those things out. And I have no doubt that we will and they'll come, but you know, it takes time. And saying that, you shouldn't lose a game you're up 23 points. I don't care what goes wrong. We shouldn't lose that game, but you got to give those guys a lot of credit. They never quit.
What do you think?
Even more, and I see it in his post-game demeanor. Just focus on the game, focus on what went wrong, what went right. And I do want to talk about the threes, because Draymond Green was actually leading the team.
Draymond.
Okay? He was like, Splash Brothers, where? I am a part of this trio.
Yeah.
But the 3 game was phenomenal in the first half, abysmal in the second half.
Yeah.
It just wasn't existent. And I'm trying to wrap my mind around what changed. It wasn't necessarily, I don't think the Clippers defense, I do think the Clippers defense did a good job of pushing them out a little bit more.
It did.
But I'm curious what your thoughts are. What was the change between the efficiency of the shot in the first versus the second?
I think the major change is that the Clippers defended it better. I think they did that. The first half, there were a lot of open looks. Second half, there were better closeouts, like you just saw there on Podziemski. And I think when you get better closeouts, all of a sudden now that openness you had before.
Excuse me.
No worries.
Yes.
That openness you had before, you can literally like line it up Now you're trying to rush it a little bit because you see the closeout is coming towards you. You put up there a little faster. So the Clippers defense, which is a top 7 defense in the NBA, kind of surfaced in the second half. It wasn't there in the first half. You know, Warriors were 12 of 22 from 3 in the first half. Second half, 5 of 21. And it's really hard to win an NBA game that's getting closer and closer when you shoot 5 of 21 from 3 in the second half.
Apologies about that. I'm thinking about the threes, I guess. Bringing tears to my eyes. But no, it was true that you saw a difference in the way that they were able to shoot because they got open shots, as you mentioned.
More in the first half than the second half.
Right, exactly,
yes.
exactly. And so this is going to be a thing. On the road, they're going to they're going to have to hit these shots, and they're going to have to be able to create for themselves as well. When Steph Curry goes 18 points in the first, only 4 in the second, and 2 of them from the free throw line, really. What can you expect out of a Klay Thompson, who also was shooting well, but wasn't able to get as many shots off?
Yeah. I think, you know, there will be games when Klay fills that gap. I mean, I thought in the last game, you know, that he did that really well, and then they closed it out really well. This game, you know, Klay again, with first half, I thought, you know, Klay was doing the right thing. He only had maybe one bad shot that I thought, okay, he rushed that one, or, you know, he took one contested shot from 3 that was like rushed.
Yeah.
And so, but again, Steph was hitting threes. Other guys were hitting threes in the first half.
Yeah.
So now in the second half, you know, you're waiting for Steph to get his going, and it doesn't happen. And so for Klay, I think he knows that his best deal is to, you know, play off of Steph, and when he gets an open 3 or any open shot, fire it up.
Yeah.
Just let it fly. And he's good at that. But as the season goes on, you can take from this game and you'll be able to see the space is there and just settle into it and let it happen, because this is a game that you can pick apart a bunch of things and say they lost it here, they lost it here, they lost it there. But it's just going to be hard for them to win a game when Steph has the ball as much as he does, and he makes only 1 of 10 shots. If he makes 2 shots, they probably win the game. He made 1. You know, if he makes 2 of 10, which is not good, but it might be enough to win the game. So this is a game that's going to sting, just like the game against the Kings. That was going to sting too, and it should. But this one is different because the Clippers, they have more veteran talent than the Kings do. You know, you've got Harden, who's been an MVP. You've got Kawhi, who's been a Finals MVP, you know, twice. You know, you've got Paul George, who's been a decorated player, and you got Russ, who's been a league MVP. So you've got these guys out there, and when it's a close game, they're looking at you like, this is what we are supposed to do on our home court. On our home court. So I think if this game is played at home, the Warriors probably find a way to win it. But when you're on the road and things get tight and the other team has veterans that have been there and done that before, it becomes different.
They locked in the second half.
They did.
But there's still more to talk about. That's positive.
Yes.
So on the other end of this break, we're going to talk about Moses Moody. Because he did incredibly well for the Warriors tonight.
Again,
Don't go anywhere. We got to break this down, folks.
Thank you.
Dubs Talk Live is presented by Mancini Sleep World. Visit Mancini Sleep World during the year-end clearance event or visit sleepworld.com.
Hi, YouTube family. I appreciate you guys sticking with me as I got mid-bronchitis, I guess. I don't know.
She's good.
I'm all right, guys. That was just like a weird something. Anywho, just like a weird second half for the Warriors. We'll go with that. But I know, like they said, no moral victories. There were a lot of good things. And it's always so unfortunate when all these good things happen and they can't capitalize on them, right? Like it's like you do all the right things in the first half. And particularly Moses and Brandon, just being all over the court, fitting so well within the chaotic defense that the Warriors they've done for years, and they can't capitalize and say, look, this is the result of you producing that level of output and that level of energy, and it's just like, oh, what a waste.
Yeah. I think so many things went well in the first half. I mean, the Warriors, they had only, I think, 3 fouls in the first half and 6 turnovers. So these are things that they you have to like.
Yeah.
They didn't.
right.
They didn't go crazy hacking and fouling people. You know, they ended up with a total of 15 fouls. So they had 3 in the first half, 12 in the second half. So it got worse.
Yep.
It got worse. But again, when a team is coming at you like the Clippers came after them in the second half, there's probably going to be more fouls because now James Harden is an expert at getting to the line, you know, and he got to the line 5 times. Paul George got to the line 5 times. So you look at all these things, and you look at as a whole, and you say, you know what, this is. There are silver linings in this loss. I'll put it that way.
There are. And that's what you have to do. It's early in the season. You got to learn these things and take it to the next game, which they got some time. Welcome back to Dubs Talk Live. We are breaking down the Warriors' loss today against the Clippers, 113-112. I know that score might seem like, ooh, it came down to the last, but it did. But there was a third quarter there first. All right, we'll get into that a little bit later. But right now, we do want to talk about some of the silver linings of the game, one of which was Moses Moody. So Moses Moody starting as a result of Andrew Wiggins being out, CP3 being out, and GP2. There's been some lineup rotations, and you want to talk about somebody that stays ready. This person, Moses Moody, was attacking the basket. He was getting hands in there. He was showing off his length. And if anything, he was applying pressure to the Warriors coaching staff to say, hey, I deserve to be in this rotation.
Yeah, I mean, Moses, you know, 21 points, you know, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. He does a little bit of everything out there.
Yeah.
It's what you want from a guy like that. And this is second straight start for him for Wiggins. But I think one of the things that he does is he's got a reliable shot, but he got to the line today. He took 10 free throws.
Did.
You know,
He did.
And he hits his free throws.
9 of 10.
I think for Moses, this is one of the situations where you can say, okay, you know what? He's having a really good year. And honestly, he's having a better year than Kuminga, who, for the most part, has been getting more minutes than Moses has. But Moses has been more consistently good. JK is more peaks and valleys.
Yep.
And so I think now with Wiggins out, you're getting a really good look at Moses and liking what you see.
Yeah.
You know, and Draymond talked about it after the game, man. I mean, Moses, you know, gives you so many of the things you want to see from a third-year guy. He's smart. He doesn't make a bunch of mistakes. He hits shots. He gets in the way on defense. And, you know, you can throw pods in there too. I mean, so the Warriors have to like what they're getting from Moses right now.
When I look at the stats for Moses, things that really stand out for me, of course, that free throw aspect, 9 of 10 from the free throw, but also 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 0 turnovers. And when you talk about being young and being efficient and taking advantage of the time that you're given, that is what you like to see.
Yeah.
Doing the little things that also really matter. There's another person that did that, Brandon Podziemski. And there's been a lot of fanfare around him. Everyone being like, oh, we knew, at least on the team, we knew what this guy was capable of. But man, it just keeps showing. It just keeps showing up. And his confidence and his ability to do all of the things that the Warriors need. Play hard offensively, make those great passes. I mean, that transition bucket to Steph right there was beautiful. But then things like this, getting in the heads of other defenders and other players by playing hard defense, getting his hands in there. I mean, it's lovely. It's what you want.
From a rookie, man, this dude goes out there like he's supposed to play. Like he belongs on the court, and he's showing that he does belong on the court. And so, you know, hear Steph and Draymond talk about Pods, you can just tell that they believe in him.
Yeah.
You know, and for a rookie in the NBA, the first step that you have to get to is your veterans trusting you.
Ooh,
if you can't get to trust your veterans, you got no shot. And they trust him. And so he played 32 minutes tonight, or 36 minutes tonight.
36 minutes tonight,
and he played 32 the other night. So he's playing big minutes right now because they need him to, with Paul out, with Wiggins out, and with GP2 out. But he gives you some of what those guys give you. He gives you that pesky defender like GP2 is. He gives you that a playmaker who can shoot like Chris Paul is. And in Wiggins, he gives you the rebounding. So he gives you a little bit of all those things. And to me, that's what makes Pod so valuable. He's one of these guys that you look at, he's cocky. But you know what? he plays a cocky game.
Yeah.
And the player and his teammates love it because they see him doing what he's supposed to do, what they need him to do.
But he backs that cockiness with curiosity.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And they
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about him being a student of the game and asking questions
Yep.
and being involved in his own development. And that's all you want
Yeah.
out of a rookie, for sure. I think about, I was talking to Monte when we were watching the game, and that one play, Jose Alvarado from the New
One of
Orleans
those guys,
Pelicans,
yeah.
you know? That
Yeah.
pesky defender that
Yep.
creeps up behind.
Yep.
Just when you think you could just push the ball in. Oh,
Yep.
no. He's around, creeping around.
Yep.
So he's definitely getting himself a reputation. You saw Kyle Kuzma giving him some love there.
Yep.
Pods has game. So let's talk about the fact that Pods and Moody are being brought in for a particular reason right now, which is players are out. But there's also something they're bringing, which is defense. And now GP2, arguably the team's best defender, is not available. But even him just coming back doesn't solve everything.
Right.
The Warriors, like you said, first half, 3 fouls.
Yes.
Second half, 11.
12.
12,
Yeah.
excuse me, yeah.
Yeah, 12 fouls.
So 12 fouls.
Yeah.
Shift.
Yeah.
What was the change?
Well, I mean, like I said, the first thing is that the Clippers intensified their offense. I mean, they came after the Warriors in the
That's
second
true.
half.
They
In the
attacked.
first half, the Clippers looked like they were kind of sluggish. You know, James Harden was kind of invisible, you know. And then in the third quarter, oh, that's a different James Harden now. You know, he's coming after people. And when James gets into the paint, he's really effective. Whether
Yeah.
he's going to the free throw line or getting to the hoop, he can get to the cup and get those 3-point plays going. And he can drive into your chest. Even if you're bigger than he is, he's got the momentum going. So you get that going. And Kawhi had a stretch there where he also said, okay, you know what? I need to make my presence felt here. So he does it, you know. And so between James and Kawhi and Paul, each one of those guys saw a point during the game where they said, I need to put my stamp on this. And they all did. Yeah. But the key thing I thought was in the second half that they were able to play with more force. And the Warriors' defense didn't meet that force. And so the turnovers didn't help the Warriors because they had more in the second half than they did in the first. But the bottom line, I thought, in the second half, the difference between the Clippers is that they just played a better, smarter, more forceful game in the second half. And like I said, the Warriors, this wasn't a game that the Warriors gave away. The Clippers came and took this game away from the Warriors, and the Warriors couldn't stop them.
I really like the way you said that in the sense that the Warriors defense didn't catch up. Because I feel like the Warriors defense was stuck in the last game where the Clippers looked a little old, right? They looked a little sluggish. There was points tonight that James Harden was just standing outside on the three-point line, just waiting to see what happens, versus what you always say. In the second half, they looked like the teams that were young, long, and athletic, right? And so that's what the difference was, and the Warriors did not catch up. There was another shift in the lineup besides Moody, and that was Kevon Looney going to the bench, you mentioned this, and Dario Saric stepping in. I wanted to see what you thought of this adjustment.
I thought it was great because it was a big reason for their first half performance. Kevon, we know that Kevon he's a really good defender, but Dario gives you a dimension of scoring that you don't get from Kevon. And when Dario's out there, he can bang a three, you know. And today, you know, he had, I think, 2 threes. No, he didn't make any threes today, but he shot a couple threes. But you got to defend him.
Yeah.
You got to defend him.
You got to respect the shot.
Loon won't even shoot those threes because he knows it's not his game. Here's the thing. The Warriors have been playing a 3-out lineup with Clay, Steph, and Wiggins in a league that is going 3, 4, and 5 out. When I say 4 and 5 out, I mean number of guys who can actually shoot from the arc. And some teams like Denver can play 5 out. Yeah. All 5 of those guys can shoot the 3. I mean, even Joker. Yeah. So most teams in the NBA are 4 and 5, and the Warriors are playing with 3. So it's something of a handicap, especially when the non-guys, that Draymond and Loon, are not really strong finishers in the paint. You know, they tend to miss a lot of layups in traffic, you know, so they don't dunk very much. You know, you don't get that from Loon and Draymond. So when you have 2 guys on the court that aren't shooting threes and aren't dunking, they got to be exceptional to be able to hang in there and keep the team afloat. Tonight, different look because now you got Moody out there. He can shoot the 3. Steph, Clay, and Draymond's hitting threes. Yeah. And now you got Dario out there too. So you got 5 guys who can hit threes.
Okay, quick answer. Do you think this is going to happen next game?
Next opponent is going to be Portland. Probably not.
Okay.
I think it'll be game to game. I think this is one that Steve will have in his back pocket and decide based on the opponent.
Okay. Well, the Warriors have to go from LA and back to the Bay. They'll be back at the Chase Center. We'll see what they have to face off on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere. It's Dubs Talk Live. All righty. I don't know why I'm like, I'm like all zoomed in on YouTube. Where are you at? What's going on? Oh man, all right, let's see. Otis Bird said, wow, even Kuzma's taking notice. I'm not going to open up the
Pods is that
conversation
guy,
about
man. He's
Kuzma.
one of those dudes that, you know, when you see him when you watch the Warriors play, if he's on the court, you can't help but notice him.
Yep, exactly.
Because he's one of those guys that does a little bit of everything. He's in the way. He's energy.
Yep, exactly.
Like you said, like Alvarado, that's a good comparison for his defensive energy.
And that's the way that Alvarado made his stamp coming into the league.
Yeah.
Right? He was someone that you couldn't deny his ability to be in the rotation from that.
Because he can't shoot like Paz.
No.
But he's in this league because he's a defender that people hate to play against.
Yeah.
Alvarado.
Ooh.
They
Yeah.
hate to play against a guy like that.
Yeah.
And Paz could be that guy too. You saw him going against James Harden like, dude, I'm here for you. Come on. What you got? What you got? I know you're MVP.
He had
but
he had two takes that it was like, okay, maybe we need to switch pods off, right? But that third one, he came in, got a hand on it, and got, of course, he had the turnover on the other end.
Yes.
Because I think he got a little excited.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
You see
was
James
cutting,
Harden,
but
right.
Yeah.
You see James Harden trying to size you up, and all of a sudden you're like, you did me twice.
I know who you are, James. Don't worry about it.
Right, exactly.
I got something for you. Yeah, okay. Be careful out there.
So I'm curious. I want to just follow up on that aspect of just having that in the back pocket. I know we have a little bit of time left, but Kevon Looney being interchangeable. Mm-hmm. What's the change when it comes to the opponent that you think would make them interchangeable?
Whether the Warriors whether they can get by without the floor spacing that Dario gets, and defense is more of a priority for that game.
Gotcha.
And pace.
That's a great point. Welcome back to Dubs Talk Live. Warriors coming back to the Bay with a loss under their belt. But here's the schedule. Look ahead. They're going back against these young, athletic and tall and long young teams. Mm-hmm. That's their problem. That's their kryptonite. When you look at Portland's coming up to Chase Center, then OKC, going to OKC, knowing that was a crazy game there, 141-139. Still remember that. That was crazy.
Almost lost it, but hey.
Almost lost it. But do you think that they've done enough shifting and rotation kind of mixing to get a good feel for what they can bring back to Chase Center?
I think they're still trying to figure some things out, because when you're missing three guys who will be in the rotation, you're still going to have to do some more reintegrating. I mean, Chris Paul might be able to play when they play again on Wednesday. He might be available by then. So you got a pretty good break now. You got a 4-day break, which is rare, but thanks to the in-season tournament, you got that. So Chris could be back maybe within the next few days.
Okay.
GP2 might be a little longer. Well, we'll be a little longer.
Well, we'll be back within that break. Please enjoy the break. Thank you guys for joining us on Dubs Talk Live. Zena, Keita, Monte, Poole. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. This has been Dubs Talk Live. YouTube. I'm trying to keep up. There's so much going on YouTube.
Always. That's the way we want it, though.
So here's a position. Adrian Gutierrez says the problem the Warriors have is that they don't have a big man to protect the rim and defend. Now, you just mentioned the Warriors not having someone on the offensive end that can catch in traffic.
Right.
And I would like to see more of Trace Jackson Davis, honestly, to see if he can, because he's had some great plays in that regard. And hopefully the Warriors are able to find a game where they can get up enough that he can get some time. But on the defensive end, protecting the rim, that is very true. Dario Saric, that's something that he does not bring for the Warriors.
They don't have a rim protector. The best rim protector on the team is Trace Jackson Davis.
Yeah.
And so TJD doesn't play much now. I got to think that there will come a time when he is actually someone who's on the court more often against certain teams. I know he's a rookie, and rookie big men get abused by veteran big men.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, they go out there, Trace goes out on the court, and he's trying to guard Jokic or Embiid or somebody. He's got 3 fouls in 5 minutes.
Right.
That's the way it tends to go for guys like that.
Right.
But you got to give them a chance to play in situations where teams are just coming through for layups. And there's been a lot of games where you watch the Warriors play and you see there's nobody in the paint, just layup. And so I think Trace is the one guy they have on the roster who could be a deterrent. Now, maybe, again, he's a rookie who doesn't play much, so he has to show that.
Yep.
But I think he has that ability to do it. I know he's better at doing that than anybody else on the roster. So I think I would be, like you said, you would like to see more of him. I tend to agree. I feel the same way. And I think even the Warriors at times, with the coaching staff goes back and forth. Do we want? And I think, in generally, they want to have him out there a little more often. I think you will see him more and more as the season goes on. I can't believe that they're going to have him sit there on the end of the bench, game after game after game, not even playing in Santa Cruz.
Right.
Get some run in.
Yeah, I agree. What I think he needs to do, go rub some shoulders with Brandon Podziemski. Get some of that confidence.
Yeah, and the thing about Trace is that, you watch his highlights from college, and you see he's much more assertive then. Sometimes he gets in the paint. I'm like, dude, dunk it, because you can do that.
Yeah.
He has that leaping ability, but he gets, he's putting up the kind of soft. No, you can't be in the NBA playing soft on the inside like that. And so I think that's one of the other things the coaching staff is trying to get across to him is that, hey, if you're in the paint, you're a great athlete. Use that athleticism to dunk the ball. Don't try and put up a little layup when in traffic, because layups in traffic don't usually get very far.
Yeah.
So that's what the dunk is for. And so I think as he becomes more accustomed to being more, I don't want to say a bully, but just more physical.
Sure.
I think he'll be fine.
Well, I want to close out the show, but I'd be remiss if we did not mention talking about a bully, that JK dunk.
Ooh. He caught a body, huh? Yeah. Kaminga
If there's
got a
anything that
body.
made me cough today, it was that dunk. Oh my God, what a demonstration of athletic ability. And I love the after. I love
Tice
that
was
energy.
like, oh.
Yeah, right.
Whoa.
Like, okay, let me back on up. But that's the energy TJD's got to bring.
Yes.
But all right, Warriors go down 113-112 against the Clippers, coming back December 6th against Portland Trailblazers. We appreciate you joining us here, our YouTube fam, as always. Enjoy the rest of your weekends, folks. We got a little bit of time.